Now joining me with more in the studio on the spat between Israeli and Polish leaders is former Israeli ambassador to multiple countries, Yosef Livne. Ambassador, thank you so much for coming back in.
Thank you.
All right, so first of all, what's your initial impression on the cancellation of the V4, Poland rescinding their attendance, and the degradation, I could say, of relations between Israel and Poland?
Look, I think that you cannot divorce what's happening from the wider context, which is the sad story of the Holocaust. Mm. Always at the backdrop of the relations between Israel and many other countries in Europe, you'll have the Holocaust. And you cannot ignore historical facts. The question is, how do you take historical facts and bring it into the equation of diplomatic relations at this day and age? Mm-hmm. How do you keep truthful and faithful to the history and to the sad history of the Jewish people and the Holocaust in Poland, or in any other country, for that matter, and build it in such a way that you tell your counterparts, we want to have a friendly relations with you, but you'll always have to take into consideration that Israel cannot turn its back on the history.
Now, okay, well, I'll agree with you that perhaps the way things are said can often be more important than the content, right? Than the content of the statement itself.
Yeah.
But that being said, with respect to Poland specifically, after passing the Polish Holocaust law, which essentially forbids,
criticism
and connection between Poles and the Nazi regime, that's whitewashing. It's false history. So how can any truth be injected into this in such a way that Poland will not be upset?
Well, I think that it should have been treated in a different manner, probably way back when the whole issue came up. The denial of the Holocaust, or whatever, or the role of
Sure.
Polish people, of Polish citizens in the Holocaust. Maybe it should have been treated differently back then, and we wouldn't have had to face the situation that we're facing today. Because what happened was that a statement that was misquoted, obviously, has caused an eruption of criticism from the Polish side. Having said that, I think that the Poles, as others, will have to come to grips with history. You cannot expect the state of Israel...
Polish people were complicit. It happened. It's not everyone, not a blanket. Of course, not everyone.
It wasn't a national policy.
Of course.
There were people who collaborated.
Sure.
There were people who collaborated in other countries in Europe.
Absolutely.
And people learn how to live with this historical fact.
Of course, and I don't believe that any Israeli politician has ever said that Poland or any European country as a monolith, as a singular entity, was complicit.
Exactly.
Even Germany. I don't think Israel even says that all of Germany was complicit. They say the Nazi regime, and many Poles were complicit with the Nazi regime. That's true.
So the issue is probably has more to do with the internal situation in Poland, and I think they're being far too sensitive. I think they exaggerate. And eventually they'll have to come to grips with it.
Do you think that is more likely to happen, or do you think that this might get worse before it gets better? Because right now Poland is saying, we might even remove our Polish ambassador to Israel.
Look, 2 days ago, I didn't think this was coming up.
Of course.
I mean, I remember when we found sort of a way to live with the Polish legislation.
Which for many didn't sit well still.
Exactly.
Right.
And somehow we managed to go through with it. So nobody thought something like this was coming up. And then, of course, when our ambassador was called to the foreign ministry in Poland, and there was a clarification by the office of the prime minister, well, most of us thought that it was done, it was over, and we turn the page and go further. I know some commentators say that it has to do with the internal elections in Poland. I have no idea. It's sad, though.
All right, well, we'll have to unfortunately wait and see. This is that sort of situation. Until then, Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.